Welcome back to the Rally Room. I'm your host, Emiliana Guereca, and we are breaking it down. Thank you for joining us. So, what we're talking about today is we're exposing the truth of what is happening and what we're being told. We are making sure that we are truly continuing to organize and truly continuing to talk about what is happening. Less than a year into this presidency, into the retribution presidency, President Trump has dialed up the cruelty, and the cracks are showing. We're starting to see what we knew would happen, right? So we're looking at ICE in the streets. We are looking at the state violence and that there's zero accountability. There is no accountability. We are getting gaslit. And so at this point, we talked last week as information was coming in. We knew that an activist had been shot. We didn't know the extent of it, and we did mention it. But at this point, activists are under scrutiny while the state violence goes unchecked. And so we talked about this. We warned everyone. Women's March, women took to the streets a decade ago, talked about what was to come. And then after that, VP Harris talked about the president will use the military against its people. No one believed it. Here we are, 2026, less than a year into his presidency. President of chaos. We've got to continue to organize, but we also have to talk about deeper, going in deeper and asking the questions. What is the purpose of all this chaos? We are talking about the president of Venezuela, which as a dictator has been pulled, is in New York and in prison as he goes to trial. No one is for dictatorships, to be clear there. And then we are talking about ICE in the streets. We are talking about militarization. There's talk about the president threatening Cuba, then Greenland, and now we're in a state chaos with Iran. And through all of that chaos, the question is, where are the Epstein files? The Epstein files have yet to be released completely. Something like 1% has been released. What are they hiding? They have all of this time to create violence, to create chaos on our streets for the citizens of the United States. And immigrant communities are living in fear. And yet, no Epstein files. They can't figure out where they are. So today we're going to go there. We're going to talk about what is happening. So Minneapolis. So in Minneapolis, as I mentioned earlier, the ICE shooting killed Renee Nicole Good. And we galvanized protests just this past weekend. People should be protesting every single day. I've got signs at my home, windows, ICE out. I want Congress to stop funding ICE. Those are our tax dollars at work, and that's not what we want them used for. So Minneapolis, rest in power, a mother of three, Renee Nicole Good, was shot during an immigration operation. We don't know if they actually were there to pick somebody up or terrorize them. We don't know if they had a warrant. We don't know. What we do know is that from the footage that has been released, including from the agent's own camera, it shows moments before she was killed, and it knocks holes in the narrative at the talk of justified use of force. And the president talked about she was disrespectful, when reality is she was using her First Amendment right. She was out protesting. The agent was in no way, shape, or form in danger at all, based on all of the videos that are out there. Not only that, he didn't just shoot once. He shot once, twice, three times. And the last words out of his mouth were fucking bitch. That was what he said. So when we want to talk about disrespect, let's talk about how these agents are conducting themselves at at the behest of the federal government. And they are out there being lawless, being rogue. And we talk about the use of force that they are using on everyone, not just immigrants. So it's not, there's no time to parse words around. She was being disrespectful. What we want to talk about is accountability, and there is none. There is currently none. The FBI has sidelined any type of investigation. Stephen Miller, the other psycho, Stephen Miller has stated that the agent has federal immunity. And who they are investigating currently is Nicole's wife. Who they're investigating is the activist that she may have hung out with. That is what they are doing. So, lack of accountability is what the pattern has. That is the pattern. This administration has a pattern around creating chaos, gaslighting us, and telling us that what we saw is not what we saw. So it is federal violence. And when we question it, you're going to be a target, not the agents. What I'd like to see is what type of training these agents go through, because currently they are running like a Gestapo. That's is what is on the streets. Minneapolis, Minnesota right now are battleground. These folks are out there just being rogue, and the communities they are targeting there are Somalians, who the president has also rescinded the temporary protective status for them. The president has stated that the temporary protective status for them is rescinded and they must leave the country March 16 of 2026. But through all of that, does not constitute them being persecuted and being violently dragged across the streets of the United States. And that is what ICE is doing. So when they talk about the right way, let's be honest. Currently, there is no right way. They are being apprehended when they go to their immigration appointments. They are being apprehended at their workplace, regardless whether they have a permit or not. So the rules currently do not apply. So let's be clear on that. And so then we go into who is being investigated, right? So we're talking about the federal government investigating activists. So most of the organizers, most of the folks that go out there to protest are there to document. Documenting is not a crime. Folks are peaceful organizers. They are observers. They come with their energy to observe. Some bring whistles, some bring cameras. And yet, those are the people that are being scrutinized. So, meanwhile, the agents that are involved in this particular agent identified as Jonathan Ross has not faced charges and may not see accountability. The agent is currently in hiding. Because, surprise, he fears for his life. How do you think everyone else is feeling right now? Whether you're documented or not. Renee was a citizen. Whether you're documented or not, people have fear of ICE being on the streets, and rightfully so. So this is the same administration that labels dissent as domestic terrorism. While defending federal agents on the ground, they talk about they are defending this guy's and that whole group's behavior. This is not about disrespect. This is about lawlessness on our streets, and it's not an accident. This is a tactic. The tactic and what they're trying to do truly is to criminalize protest. And when you criminalize protest, you don't want dissent. You want to protect power. There's no mistake about it. And it's not just in Minneapolis, it is across the country. Just over the weekend, while protests were going on, the following day, ICE was in Highland Park in Chicago, Minneapolis, Minnesota, New Jersey, New York. So they are everywhere. And this speaks to the amount of money that has been allocated to this. When we talk about the economy, where is this money coming from? We want Congress to stop funding ICE. Congress should be the ones that are saying, no, we will not be funding these activities on the streets of the United States. So for bigger picture, uh, it's chaos. We understand that. And there's distrust. There's distrust in the government that we already had that. And so now we're talking about what that looks like. I mean, as I stated before, Stephen Miller has said that these agents have federal immunity. And so let's talk about what is the training like? What training had these folks been given to be able to apprehend? Let's not also think about they are wearing uniforms that say police, and yet they are not police. They are not part of a police force. So my hope is that each of the states individually do hold these folks accountable, even if the federal government does not, because there are state laws. And I know that a lot of states are talking about sanctuary and being protected in sanctuary cities. And I don't think that that's the case anymore. I don't think that works. These folks do not care and they're lawless out there. So let's zoom out. Let's talk about what we've got. So we've got ICE in our neighborhoods. We've got local governments suing the federal government. We know Minnesota, Minneapolis, New York, Illinois is suing the federal government for constitutional violations. And we've got a president tweeting that there's threats of day of reckoning, that there is a day of reckoning, that he is going to withhold the funds from blue states. So this is not the president of the United States. This is a president that is a chief and divider and a chaos maker. Because when you target states based on who their electeds are, instead of representing everybody, you are no longer the president of the United States. You are a chief and divider and a chaos maker. So at this point, when we talk about all of this, we know that people are frustrated. We know that people are scared, and they have a right to be. We have a right to be fearful. We have a right to be distrustful. We have a right to be scared. But that does not prevent us from continuing to document what is happening. My hope is that we are all documenting this because at some point, when this presidency ends, and it will end, that we will have trials like the Nuremberg trials. We must continue to document, because here's the thing, the chaos isn't random. The chaos is a tactic. It's a tactic to distract, and it's a tactic to bury accountability. So when you distract with all of the chaos, the questions are not being asked. When we are gaslit of, Christy Nome saying, no, he was defending himself. Defending himself against what? There was no threat to that agent's life. So we're just getting to the surface of all of this, but what we have said since 2016 is what's happening. And we cannot continue to be silent. We must protect everyone. And we're not talking about just open borders and we're saying bring in anybody and anything, because they told us that they were going to go after criminals. So far, 92% of the folks they have arrested have no criminal record. Their only crime is to be brown. Their only crime is to be the wrong color. That's what it is. That's what it is. And we've got to call it out. So we are living in a current system where if we do not continue to speak out, if we do not continue to document, we will fall into what Germany fell into in the 1930s, where they were rounding up Jews, taking them to concentration camps during the day at any point because folks decided not to speak up. And that, well, that's not going to be us. Our children deserve better. That brings me to the Epstein files. What are they hiding? What are these powerful people, some of who have been named in the files, including the president? What are they trying to hide? Why are they trying to control the news and bury the records? As most people know, the Clintons have said that they will not testify in this, and they've been subpoenaed. They will not speak on any of this. So all of this, what we're talking about is it's the glaring burying of the truth. And so when we talk about what is happening, it isn't just ICE that is happening. It is the continued chaos in order to not release the files. The files were supposed to be released in December. We are here, January 14th, and they have not been released, but they find time for everything else. So we're talking about financial records, flight logs, witness testimony, confidential settlements, alleged co-conspirators. Who are they? Are they still within our government? And the files that have been hidden, sealed, and there continue to be delays and will, in my estimation, will continue to be delayed. And all of this is a distraction. Every single piece of chaos that they pull on the American public is a distraction to avoid accountability. Remember, this is a president that is a 34-time convicted felon in the office. So it's not about rule of law. It is about protecting power. So yes, the information is still incomplete, right? And why are the files still locked years later? Who's being protected? And so some people may say it's paranoia. It's not paranoia. It is not paranoia. You've got Maxwell in jail, convicted. You've got plenty of folks that have been named that have also committed suicide. Epstein himself, suicide. You've got a lot of powerful people that have stepped away that knew enough about what was happening. And the president has been named in them enough times. So we want to see the files. We think it's a distraction. The public is being fed distractions. But the other piece that I think about is the building of this golden ballroom. The ballroom that is being built under a bunker. And so let's talk about what the visuals of this are. This is an administration and a president that, in my view, from my little purview, will not be leaving the White House. Why build a huge golden ballroom that you will not see? This is a president that everything is about him and everything is personal to him. And so we look at and we talk about this does not seem to be an administration or a president that will walk away in the next election in 2028. The infrastructure there is being built around the military, around how fast military has been trained and is on the streets in every single state, supposedly enforcing immigration laws, is too fast, and the budget is in the billions, which makes me believe that this is an administration that does not plan on leaving that White House. And I hope I'm wrong. But in the meantime, we've got to continue to mobilize so that that does not happen. That does not happen because the influence out there by the president and the administration is big. It's a huge influence when they're currently controlling media. They're currently controlling the narrative by gaslighting. We didn't see what we saw. There's the continued pushback. We also have a president that does not respect the rule of law. And he is surrounded by an administration. He is surrounded by other folks that go lockstep into what he says. So that's what we're talking about. And you cannot separate it. You cannot separate the president from the administration. You cannot separate the president from what is going on because he has chosen these people to enforce this. When he chooses Christine Noem, when he chooses Stephen Miller, when he chooses Elon Musk to be around him, when he chooses Pete Hegseth, you understand and know that was the intention. It was no mistake. Cruelty and a retribution tour is what we are seeing, and that is the system that they have put in place to protect their power. That's where we are. That brings us to the rally point. Whew. So next week we have a special episode. January 20th will be the 1 year of this presidency, the presidency of chaos and retribution. And we're going to continue to ask the questions. We will be hosting a live podcast. So join us, subscribe, share. Join us live on Facebook or YouTube for the following week as we connect the dots as to what is happening. Folks are continuing to protest. We are following the news with Venezuela. We are following the news with Iran, where they are shooting protesters. The news has said that there's over 2,000 people that have been killed in Iran for protesting. Venezuela is still the president currently that has been put in place was the vice president of Maduro, so dictatorship is still there. And don't forget that the president convened oiled folks last week, folks in the oil industry that said they are not ready to follow him into Venezuela. So stay tuned as to see what happens there. We will continue to ask the questions. If you're out there and you feel hopeless, don't. Our job is to document. Our job is to ask questions. Our job is to confront what is happening so that it does not go unnoticed, so that no one can say we didn't speak up, because when they come for me, they come for you. When they come for you, they come for me. No other way to put it. So we've got to continue to document, mobilize, and of course, accountability at all levels. Ask your city council, ask your alderman, ask your congressman, ask your mayor, ask your governor, where do they stand and what are they going to do to make sure that military is not on the streets enforcing an agenda that is a racist agenda in the United States. So find your Congress members, demand that they stop funding ICE, that they stop sending billions to untrained rogue agents on the streets, because that is what they are. So we're going to continue to be here. We're going to continue to listen. We're going to continue to stay loud. I have a lot of questions around what can we do to stay safe. And the reality is, to stay safe, you must document, but you must also be safe yourself. Do not impede anything that is going on, but we must be able to document. I would say call your local police. They're not supposed to be helping ICE, but do not put yourself in danger. As you can see, they are lawless, and we are being told different. We are being gaslit. So I'm going to say stay safe, continue to stay loud, continue to document, and do what you can without putting yourself in danger. So in the absence of transparency and the presence of violence, we must continue to be safe, as we know that what is happening is not normal, nor should it be normalized. So with that in saying, next week will be that year, and we will have that special live episode. And I hope that you will join us. Bring your questions, bring your energy. I am going to answer one question that was asked of me, and I had to think about it. So the question that was asked is, Emmy, how do you stay positive? And the reality is that I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic that the American people will not be fooled and continue to be fooled into this. I'm optimistic because I understand and know that this has happened before, and that this isn't new, that the racist agenda has been here, and that we've all experienced it. This is not new. This is evolving into a more cruel government, but it's not new. People of color, brown people, black people, Asian people, Muslims, Jews, we've all experienced this in one way or another. And what I do know is that we are resilient, and that we are stronger when we organize, we are stronger when we all decide that enough is enough. We have a louder voice and a more power when we are optimistic, when we understand that not all is lost, that we are in a difficult moment, we are in a difficult period of time where it is normalized to be racist, and we will see it through. My hope is that we will all see that this is not what anyone voted for, that we will all see that this is not who or what we want to be as citizens of the United States. As an immigrant, I understand and know that what is happening is difficult, but this isn't new. This isn't new. It's been ramped up, and we have to find a way out. We have to find a way to vote these folks out. We have to find a way to hold them accountable. We have to find a way for due process. And of course, yes, immigration reform, but we're not there yet. We are in a different time. I read in the New York Times where it talked about, and it said the pussy hat ladies were right. Women were right. Women have been leading the resistance and will continue to lead the resistance against this president and the administration. And what gives me hope is that we are continuing to organize, that we are continuing to not give up. And resilience isn't built in a day. Resilience is earned by continuous work, and that is democracy. Democracy is not given to any of us. Democracy is a muscle that we continue to build as we exercise our right to free speech, as we make sure that our civil rights are not stepped on. That is what gives me hope. So, with that, I'm your host, Emiliana Guareca. Thank you for joining me in the Rally Room. I will see you next week. Keep sending your questions. Hit subscribe, share. I think I have 30 subscribers. Yes. So thank you. I will see you next week. In the meantime, stay safe.